My name is Arya. I am 29 years old. I live in a small room above a flower shop. The shop is in a busy city. The streets are loud and the market is always full. But my life is quiet. My room has one bed, one chair, and one window. I do not have a kitchen. I use a microwave to heat my food. I do not need many things. I just need a place to sleep. I wake up every day at 6 a.m. I clean the flowers. I cut the stems. I make bouquets for customers. Some people buy flowers for birthdays. Some people buy flowers when they feel sad. I smile at them. I say, "Have a nice day." Then I go back to work. I make tea during breaks. I eat toast. I do the same things every day. People think I love flowers. I work with them all day. But I do not feel love. I do not feel much at all. I only feel tired. I was not always like this. Before, I was happy. I had my mother. I had a small dream. I wanted to open a shop with her. She loved to grow flowers. I loved to make pottery. We wanted to work together. We wanted a happy life. We called it Roots and Rain. I went to college for pottery. I liked clay. I liked making cups, bowls, and plates. My mother helped me. She made tea while I worked. She smiled at my work. I felt proud. I wanted to finish college. I wanted to open our shop. But one day, she started to cough. At first, we thought it was nothing. But then she got worse. She had to go to the hospital. She was sick. I did not understand the words the doctor said. But I saw her face. She looked tired. She was not the same. I left college. I stayed with her. I got a job in the flower shop near our home. I brought soup for her. I washed her hair. I gave her medicine. She still smiled at me, but I saw the pain in her eyes. She was trying to be strong. One evening, I came home from work. I opened the door. It was quiet. Too quiet. I went to her room. She was in bed. She was not moving. I called her name. She did not answer. I touched her hand. It was cold. She had passed away in her sleep. I sat beside her for hours. I cried. I held her hand. I said, "Please come back." But she was gone. After the funeral, I moved out. I could not stay in our old home. It was too hard. I moved into the small room above the shop. It was cheap. The flower shop owner said I could stay. I said thank you. I had no family now. I had no dream. I stopped making pottery. I packed my tools in a box. I put the box in the back of the closet. I worked every day. I said hello to people. I smiled when they bought flowers. But inside, I felt nothing. I ate alone. I sat by the window and looked at the street. Sometimes I saw children play. Sometimes I saw couples walk by. I felt like a shadow. I was alive, but not living. One day, it started to rain. I was cleaning the floor near the door. A man walked in. His coat was wet. His face looked tired. He held a wooden box under his arm. He said, "Sorry. I just need to stand inside for a minute. It's raining hard." I looked at him. He did not look dangerous. He looked quiet, like me. I said, "It's okay. You can stay." He smiled a little. He said, "Thank you. It smells nice here." I said, "It's the flowers." He said, "I miss this smell. I used to live near a garden." His name was Mateo. He was new in the city. He was a carpenter. He made tables and chairs. He used to live in a small town near the sea. He moved here last month. He wanted to start again. He did not say why. He just said, "The sea took too much from me." He left after a few minutes. I thought he would not come back, but the next day he returned. He had a broken chair in his hands. He said, "Can I fix this here? My room is loud. Too many people. I like the quiet in this shop." I said, "Okay. Put it near the back." After that, he came almost every day. He brought small things to fix. A broken frame, a wooden box, a small table with one leg. He drank tea in the shop. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we sat in silence. I liked the quiet between us. It was not heavy. It felt soft. One evening, I was cleaning the counter. He looked at me and said, "You work with flowers. You work with life. That is beautiful." I looked down. I said, "I don't feel beautiful. I just do what I must." He said, "Still, you give color to others, even when you feel gray inside." I did not know what to say. I went upstairs that night and cried. I had not cried in a long time. I looked at the small closet. I opened it. I saw the box. My pottery tools were still there. I touched the clay. It was dry. I closed the box again. The next morning, I found something at the shop door. It was a small paper bag. Inside was a broken teacup. It had gold lines over the cracks. It looked old, but also new. There was a note. It said, "The heart heals in small pieces, not all at once. M." I held the cup in my hands. I sat on the chair. I cried again. I cried for my mother. I cried for myself. I cried because I did not know I could feel again. That night, I opened the clay again. I placed it on a wooden board. I added a little water. I shaped it slowly. My hands were not strong. I felt unsure. but the clay felt warm. It moved under my fingers. I made a small bowl. It was not round. It had lines. It was not perfect, but it was mine. When Matteo came the next day, he saw the bowl on the shelf. He smiled. He did not say much, but his eyes said enough. I started making one bowl each night, then 2, then 3. I put them on a small table in the back. Some customers saw them. One lady asked, "Can I buy one?" I said yes. Matteo brought me flowers from the market. He said, "These are for your shelf." We started talking more. He told me about his daughter. She was 10 when she died. He did not say how. He just said, "I thought I would never breathe again." I looked at him. I said, "You saw me when I had disappeared from myself." He smiled. He said, "So did you." The shop still smells like roses, but now it also smells like clay. My small room is full of pots and cups. The light comes in again. It is soft, but it is real. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. I started to feel something again. It was small, like a soft wind on my face, but it was real. I made one bowl each night. Then I made 2. I worked slowly. I made mistakes, but I did not stop. The clay felt soft in my hands. I was not fast, but I was not afraid. I cleaned the bowls and put them on a small table in the shop. I placed flowers inside them. One day, a customer looked at the bowls. She smiled and said, "Did you make this?" I said yes. She picked one up. It had blue paint on the side. She said, "It looks simple, but it feels warm." Then she asked, "How much is it?" I said, $5. She gave me the money and took it home. That was the first bowl I sold. I stood still for a moment. I looked at the small table. I felt something deep inside. It was not happiness. It was not pride. It was something soft. Maybe it was the beginning of hope. Matteo came to the shop that evening. He brought a wooden tray. It was round and smooth. He placed it on the table and said, "This is for your bowls." I smiled. "Thank you," I said. He gave a small nod. Then he looked at my hands. "You have clay on your fingers," he said. I looked down. My fingers were gray. I laughed a little. "I forgot to wash," I said. He smiled. "It means you are alive again." We started to talk more. Not big talks, just small words. He told me he worked in a wood shop outside the city. He made chairs and shelves. He did not like the noise in the city, but he stayed for work. He said he liked the quiet in the flower shop. He said it helped him think. One evening, I made tea for us. We sat near the window. It was raining outside. The rain hit the glass softly. Mateo looked at the street and said, "My daughter used to like the rain." I looked at him. He was quiet. His voice was low. She was 10. She had a soft laugh. She liked red shoes and banana cake. I listened. I did not speak. He kept looking outside. She got sick one winter. We took her to the hospital. She never came home again. His voice shook a little. Then he looked down at his hands. After that, my wife left. She could not stay. I could not ask her to. I wanted to say something, but no words came. I placed my hand on the table. He looked at me. I said, "I lost my mother. She was my only family. I thought I would never smile again." He gave a small nod. Then he said, "You saw me when I could not see myself. You helped me feel again." I said, "So did you." The next day, I walked past a small shop on my way home. There was a sign on the window. It said, "For rent, small space. Good light." I stopped and looked. The shop was empty. The walls were white. The floor was old wood. There was a window in the front. It looked perfect. I stood there for a long time. Then I walked away. I told myself it was not possible. I did not have money. I did not have time. I was not ready. But the next morning, Mateo was waiting at the flower shop. He held a paper in his hand. "I saw the sign too," he said. "Let's go look." I said, "I can't rent a shop. I have no money." He said, "I can help. We will fix it together. We will paint the walls. We will use old tables. You bring the flowers and the bowls. I will bring wood and love." I looked at him. My heart was beating fast. "Are you sure?" I asked. He said, "Yes, you are ready." So we did it. We cleaned the floor. We painted the walls white. We washed the windows. Mateo made shelves and small benches. I placed my pottery on the shelves. I put flowers in the bowls. I brought small things from my room, a photo of my mother, a scarf she made, a teacup with a gold crack. We called the shop Aria's Light. Mateo made the sign. He painted the letters by hand. We opened the doors one morning in spring. At first, only a few people came, but then more people started to visit. They liked the flowers and the bowls. Some people asked if I could teach their children. I said yes. I gave small classes on weekends. I taught them how to shape clay. I said, "You do not have to be perfect. You only have to feel it." I worked in the flower shop in the mornings. I worked in my studio in the afternoons. Mateo came by often. He brought food, wood, or tea. He sat in the corner while I worked. Sometimes he fixed small things. Sometimes he just watched. He always looked calm. One evening, I locked the door of the studio. We sat on the floor. We drank tea. There were candles on the shelves. The room was warm. Matteo looked at me and said, "You are strong, Aria. You love through pain. You shine, even when you feel tired." I felt my eyes fill with tears. I said, "I still miss her. I still feel empty some days." He said, "It's okay. Love does not erase pain, but it gives you new breath." I looked at him. My heart was open, but it was scared. I said, "My heart has cracks." He took my hand and said, "That's okay. The cracks show where the light comes in." Then he kissed me. It was not a big kiss. It was soft, like sunlight on a quiet day. My heart was slow and full. I did not feel broken. I felt whole, even with my cracks. Now every day feels simple but full. I wake up and go to the flower shop. I help customers. I tie ribbons. I smile. Then I walk to my studio. I open the door. The room smells like clay and fresh flowers. Children come in. They sit on small chairs. They laugh. They shape clay with tiny hands. They ask questions. I teach them gently. Matteo visits me in the evenings. He brings tea or bread. We sit by the window. We do not need to talk much. The silence feels kind. He is not loud. He is not perfect. But he is real. He is here. I still talk to my mother sometimes. I sit by the window and whisper to the sky. I say, "Can you see me now?" I think she can. I think she is proud. I think she smiles when she sees my hands in the clay again. I still miss her. I always will. But I am not lost anymore. I am still here. I am still trying. I am still loving. One morning, I opened the studio and saw a little note on the door. It said, "Thank you, Miss Aria. I love the clay." My mom said I smile more now. It was from a girl named Lena. She was 8 years old. She came every Saturday. She always made animals with big eyes. She was shy at first, but now she smiled when she walked in. I put the note on the wall. I looked around the room. There were bowls, plates, and cups on the shelves. There were flower pots in the window. Some had yellow daisies. Some had small red roses. My mother's scarf was still near the back table. I kept it there for luck. I sat down and looked at my hands. They were full of clay and small cuts. But I liked them that way. These were working hands. These were hands that stopped giving up. Later that week, Matteo came with a gift. It was a small wooden box. Inside were tiny tools for pottery. There was a brush, a sponge, and 2 carving sticks. They looked new, but simple. "These are for you," he said. "You teach now. You need good tools." I touched the box gently. "Thank you," I said. "You always think of me." He smiled. You always make me feel safe. We sat by the window and drank tea. The sky was gray. The air felt cold, but inside, I felt warm. Matteo looked at the flowers in the window. Your mother would be proud, he said. I nodded. I hope so. She always wanted me to live a good life. He looked at me. You are living one now. I held his hand. So are you. Some weeks later, a woman came into the studio. She wore a red coat and carried a camera. She said, I write for the city paper. I heard about this place. May I ask you some questions? I was shy, but I said yes. She asked about the studio. She asked why I started it. I told her a little about my mother and the flower shop. I told her about clay and how it helped me feel again. She took some photos and said, Thank you for sharing your story. A few days later, Matteo brought me the newspaper. My story was on the last page. There was a photo of me smiling beside a shelf of bowls. The title said, Flowers, Clay, and Light. I read the words slowly. It felt strange to see my life in print, but it also felt good. I was not hiding anymore. I was open. I was here. More people came to the studio after that. They wanted to see the flowers and the pottery. They wanted to talk. Some people told me their stories. One woman said, My husband died last year. I still cry in the mornings. I said, Me too. But I also laugh sometimes now. She held my hand and said, Thank you. One evening, Matteo and I walked to the park. It was quiet. The trees were full of green leaves. We sat on a bench and watched the birds. He said, I never thought I would be happy again, but you showed me I can be. I looked at him. I didn't know I could love again, but I do. He smiled and said, Let's not talk about forever. Let's just talk about today. I said, Yes. Today is enough. After that, Matteo made me a small table for the studio. It was round and had short legs. He carved small hearts into the sides. He said, For the children, so they feel special when they sit here. I touched the hearts and said, They will love this. One Saturday, Lena gave me a small plant. It had purple flowers. She said, This is for your mother. I placed it on the back shelf, near the scarf. I looked at it every day. I said good morning to it like it was a friend. One night, I had a dream. In the dream, I was sitting in a garden. My mother was there. She smiled and gave me a cup of tea. She said, You are doing well, my girl. I see your flowers. I see your heart. I woke up with tears on my face, but they were soft tears, not heavy ones. Later that week, I wrote a letter. I wrote it to my mother. I said, I miss you every day, but I'm okay now. I still cry, but I also smile. Matteo is kind. The children make me laugh. The clay makes me feel alive. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for teaching me to grow. I put the letter in a small jar. I placed it beside the purple flowers. I whispered, "This is for you." Now the studio is full of color. The walls have drawings from the children. The shelves have new pots and bowls. I do not care if they are perfect. I care that they are real. Each one tells a small story. Each one is a part of me. Mateo still comes every day. Sometimes he brings flowers. Sometimes he just brings silence. But it is good silence. It feels safe. He smiles more now. He sleeps better. He told me that once. He said, "When I met you, I could not sleep. Now I close my eyes and I rest. Sometimes we walk in the market. We buy bread and tea. We eat together in the studio. We do not talk about big things. We talk about small things. Like how many flowers bloom today, or what color bowl the children liked best. At night, I still sit by the window. I still look at the sky. I still ask, "Do you see me now?" But I do not feel alone anymore. I feel full. I feel strong. Not because I have everything, but because I am still here. I am still loving. I am still growing. If someone asked me, "How did you heal?" I would say this: I made one bowl, then another. I cried when I needed to. I let someone hold my hand. I opened the door when it felt safe. I let the light come in slowly. This is my story. I do not know what comes next, but I know I will face it. With clay on my hands, with flowers near the window, with love in my heart, and with Mateo by my side. Thank you for listening.